to do the work of making yourself an emotionally available, healthy person, healthy for a relationship. And if you kind of haven't worked through whatever your issues may be, or if you're used to dealing in unhealthy relationships, you're going to have unhealthy relationships with white men or with Asian men or with Hispanic men.
I'm continually amazed and grateful at the quality of the caliber of people we're able to have as guests here on the Swirl World podcast. Today's guest is certainly no different. Her name is Zabeth, and she's also known as the Interracial Dating Coach. Her blog was named one of the 10 best interracial dating blogs in the blogosphere. I encourage you to sit back, concentrate, and really focus on what Zabeth has to say. During the course of our conversation, we talk about vetting men, dating resources, how to get out of your comfort zone, and the steps you need to take to ensure that your mind is properly geared for dating. And you know what? You may just want to get a notebook and a pen so you can jot down some notes. Today's show is just that good.
Welcome to the Swirl World podcast, brought to you by theswirlworld.com. We're here to help you navigate the exciting world of interracial and intercultural relationships. Whether you've been involved in an interracial relationship for a long time, or you're new to the idea of swirling someone of another race or culture, this is the podcast for you. Here are your hosts, Michelle Matthews-Calloway and Adrian London Leach.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Swirl World podcast. I'm Michelle Matthews-Calloway. Here on the podcast, we discuss topics of interest to men and women involved in interracial and intercultural relationships, also known as swirling. We talk about subjects ranging from dating, marriage, parenting, to everything in between. Our goal is to bring you the best and brightest people and the most interesting topics, all designed to enhance your life as a swirler. Now, today we have a very special guest, someone I admire a great deal. She's also one of the interracial bloggers that I subscribed to early on when I started swirling. And I must say she's one of the few people whose Twitter feed I check on a daily basis. I really admire her because she keeps her pulse on what's happening not only in current events, but also with Black women. She's an award-winning blogger, and her blog, interracialdatingcoach.com, was named one of the 10 best interracial dating blogs. She really stands out as a leading blogger in the online interracial blogging scene, and her name is Zabeth. Zabeth, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
I am really excited about having you today. I'm always excited about our guests, but it's just really outstanding to me when I view bloggers online and see their work and see that they're making an impact and making a difference. And there may be some people in the audience who don't know you or who may not be familiar with your blog. So why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm an interracial blogger. The name of my blog is interracialdatingcoach.com. I've been blogging about this subject for a while now, kind of around the same time or a little bit after the Black women's empowerment bloggers started blogging. I don't consider myself a Black women's empowerment blogger. I'm more of a Black women's interest, and interracial dating and dating in general, I feel is a subject that is important to Black women, women overall, period. And that's what I do. I'm based in Southern California, and I'm single. I'm single and dating out there with you guys as well.
Well, so how long have you been swirling? When did you start doing that?
It's funny, actually, because my first boyfriend in elementary school, in kindergarten, was Russian. So I guess I've been swirling, dating interracially for a while now.
Oh, that's wonderful. So was your family structure conducive? Because I know some, Black women come into it later in life. Some it's all they've ever done. What was your family structure like as far as just accepting you dating interracially?
Well, my parents were accepting. My father died when I was really young, so my mother raised me, and she's always been accepting. And she once told me, I have to love who you choose to love. So my parents, my family have been pretty accepting of me dating interracially and just being open to that. And I have cousins and nieces who've married white men or who have had relationships with white men. So my family's been pretty accepting.
So now, when did you get into blogging about interracial relationships?
I started blogging, my gosh, years run together after a while. But I've been blogging about 5-6 years. I've been blogging. I started reading Evia's blog, Black Female Interracial Marriage, and Halima's blogs. I read their blogs for about a year, 2 years. Then I started blogging on my own.
So you were motivated by them or inspired by them?
I was inspired and I was motivated. I think they speak to issues that are very specific to Black women's empowerment. And I feel like interracial dating and having more Black women be open to that or being open to that idea and navigating that world, so to speak, is kind of a different area. So I felt like I could lend my voice to that or speak from my own experiences and having my own experiences in trial and error and learning along the way as well. Kind of why I started in that area, kind of just to have that voice.
Okay, I understand. So when did you get into the coaching aspect for women who were involved in interracial relationships or wanted to be involved in interracial relationships?
It was a white man, actually, who kind of asked me or kind of directed me in that. Well, I don't really want to say directed. I don't feel like that's the right word. But it was him. It was a white man, I believe, in Louisiana or Texas or something like that, who approached me and asked me questions. Well, how do I meet more Black women? Or, how do I know if she's interested or what have you? So that's kind of where I got into that area. It wasn't actually coming from Black women. Interestingly, it came from a white man who was interested in Black women.
Mm-hmm. So in your coaching, you coach whomever? I coach whomever. I've had inquiries from Black women, from young Black women, teenagers in college. So that's kind of who I speak to. So now give me an example. Say I read your blog and I was interested in being coached by you. Can you just kind of walk me through the process of how you go about that? So not only me, but our listeners as well can learn what's involved with coaching.
Well, typically, I ask that you email me your questions. I can usually kind of give you an answer. I haven't really delved into more in-depth coaching where we do phone conversations or where we talk in person. It usually hasn't gone past that level. That's usually where I started via email. Send me inquiries and I can answer them that way. Sometimes some people do require, I've also had inquiries from ladies whose questions are, I don't feel like I'm qualified to answer, just to be perfectly honest. Sometimes it deals with issues of psychology or, personality or things that require you talking to a professional, like a licensed professional, not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just not something I'm equipped to handle. Mm-hmm. And, that's, not specific to anyone or any one group of people. I mean, those are common issues, but they aren't necessarily something that a dating coach would be equipped to deal with.
Gotcha. So do you have a questionnaire that the person fills out, or is this just from them sharing with you their questions and their issues? How do you make that determination?
Well, usually I've had, typically I can tell from the scenario that people give me or the type of questions that they're asking, whether or not that's something I can really answer for them or if that's something I can really guide them on. I can usually tell. Gotcha.
And I guess am I correct in saying that comes just from your experience, because you've been blogging for quite a while, so quite naturally you've seen a lot, heard a lot, read a lot, and plus your own experience kind of, is that what you draw from, would you say?
Yes, I draw from my own experience, books that I've read about relationships, about dating, just from observation as well.
Well, now, and speaking to your experience and having had your blog for the length of time that you have, and also, and let me say, award-winning blog, no less. And I think that's noteworthy, and that really needs to be brought out because, there are people who are writing and blogging, and to get recognition, I think, is noteworthy and needs to be stressed. So it's not just a blog, it's an award-winning blog, and I know that you're doing an important work. So I want our listeners to really understand that. And because of your experience and what you've seen through the years, there's a lot that's going on in the interracial blogosphere. Just a lot. So how has interracial blogging changed since you started?
Well, there's definitely more voices, which I think is definitely good. It's an issue that people talk about now. I know there's always been interracial dating, and usually the focus has usually been on black men and white women, or black men with other groups of women. That's been the focus for a long time. Now you see more discussions about black women dating interracially, and I think that's great. But also, what comes with that, I see sometimes are blogs that I feel come off as thirsty, or discussions that, I'm sure everyone's familiar with that colloquialism, that kind of puts non-black men or white men in particular kind of on a pedestal as that, all of the problems will be solved, or, white men are perfect, which I think is dangerous, because men are men, people are people, there's good and there's bad, and I think it kind of is dangerous to kind of have that idea, or to go into a relationship or go into looking for a relationship with that kind of mindset.
Gotcha. And I think just thinking back on the blogs that Evia and Halima and others did, it seemed that their focus is largely on black women living well. Not that yours isn't, but it wasn't that, this is the savior. White men are the savior, so date a white man and your life will be perfect. It was more so make good choices and recognize your value, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Of course, the issue is always living well, but you also have to evaluate that man that you're with. You can't just assume that because he's from a different culture, he's from a certain culture, ethnic group, that everything is going to be just easy breezy. And it's not. You kind of have to evaluate that person too. He might not be healthy emotionally. He might have his own dysfunctions. And you kind of have to be aware of that. And you have to go into any relationship or any meeting with a person kind of with your eyes wide open. Right.
And that leads me to another question. I believe you're a rules girl. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. Love the rules.
Okay, so would you explain the rules, first of all, and then we'll get into a little more discussion about that. There may be some listeners who are not familiar with the rules.
Okay. The rules have been around for a while. They've been around since the early 90s. The original rules book was called The Rules, and it was written by Ellen Fine and Sherry Schneider. The Rules Girls. They're still around today. You can find them on Twitter. You can find them on Facebook. The updated version of the book is called Not Your Mother's Rules, which kind of deals with all of our new ever-changing technology, how to handle texting and dating, how to handle Facebook and dating, and all our social media and dating. It's a great resource for women. There are women who are adamantly opposed to the rules. They think it's game playing, but it's really not. It helps you to vet men. It helps you to evaluate men and to be able to tell what his intentions are, if he's just looking for a good time or just someone to hang out, if he's a time waster, or if he's serious about having relationships, or if he's marriage minded. The rules are really great for that. It's a really great first step, especially if you're young, if you're in college, or if you just don't have a lot of dating experience. The rules are a really great guideline for that.
Now, there are some people who have this mindset, that's for white people.
Uh-huh.
What do you say to them? Do you believe